Hi, Misha here, and this is kind of an addendum to the Huey family videos I've done. And back when I did a video on this helicopter, the AH-1Z, which is the Marine Corps' modern Cobra, folks asked me about doing the UH-1Y Venom, which is the modern tactical utility Huey. And while this is not exactly that, it's very close. And in fact, in some ways I have to wonder if this model was more meant to be a Venom than what it purports to be. This is a CH-146 Griffon, and the model's from Amercom. But in a lot of ways it actually looks more like a UH-1Y Venom to me, but I'm no expert. At any rate, the two helicopters are very, very similar, at least externally. So hopefully this will do. Just to kind of recap, this all kind of began with a UH-1N here. This is a Altea model. All three of these are 1/7/2 scale die-cast metal. The UH-1N, so-called twin Huey, really began with Canada. In 1968, they requested that Bell develop a two-engine variant based on the stretch fuselage Huey, like the UH-1E. And in 1969, the test flew just that. And it was adopted into Canadian service as the CH-135. And also, the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. Marines quickly gained interest, even deploying some quickly at the end of the Vietnam War. And this is where it received the designation UH-1N in U.S. military service. The company name and kind of the civilian family name is Bell 212, and it really is just a Huey with two engines, two turboshaft engines. Still has two rotor blades. Has a useful lift of about 4,500 pounds. Of course, the number of people it can carry kind of varies depending on configuration. Max speed of around 140 miles per hour, with the cruise around 125. And yeah, these were very widely used by the Marine Corps and are still used today by the U.S. Air Force. Canada flew them for many years, but finally retired its fleet in the late 90s. And that leads us to this. This began as the Bell 412, created in the late 70s and first test flown in 1979. It was a Model 212. In fact, the first two planes were just modified 212s that had the two metal bladed rotor removed and four composite blades installed in its place. And Bell began marketing it in 1980. Canada became interested and ended up purchasing a modified version known to Bell as the 412CF, which was basically a customized 412 EP. The first prototype flew in 1992, and between 1995 and 1997, 100 so-called CH-146 Griffons were delivered. There were two main versions. There was a search and rescue, kind of medical version, and then there was a tactical transport version that could carry between 8 and 10 soldiers and had a typical crew of 3, pilot, co-pilot, flight engineer, or crew chief. The Griffon could carry 2 7.62 millimeter machine guns or a 50 caliber Browning. Had a max speed of around 160 miles per hour with a cruise around 140. Max altitude of about 20,000 feet. And really ended up with a mixed reputation in Canada. It seemed like it did well in the cooler climates of Canada, but when 8 were sent to Afghanistan in 2008, they proved to not really operate quite well in hot and dry environments, really seeming to be underpowered. In optimal conditions, it can lift over 6,000 pounds, but again, it's kind of sensitive. Steps were taken to update and modernize the Griffon fleet, and as of last year, 85 are still in service. Originally, they were planning to retire them by 2021, but it looks like now they might continue to use them until 2030. Well, what about the Marine Corps? Like I said in my video on this helicopter, around 1996, the Marines had the H-1 upgrade program to upgrade their Cobras and Hueys. And part of that was they had signed a contract with Bell to upgrade around 100 old UH-1N twin Hueys to a new standard, the UH-1Y, so-called Venom, or Super Huey, as it's known. And testing would begin with the first prototype flight in December of 2001. And initially, they were going to do the upgrade. But in the spring of 2005, government gave permission, instead of just remanufacturing old and potentially worn out in models, they could just build 100 new Y models. With that said, prototypes were delivered and testing began in 2006. It was mostly complete by 2008. In February of that year, the first 2 pre-productions were delivered to the Marines, and then later that year they declared it combat capable, combat ready, and it was first deployed in a combat zone in January of 2009, and full rate production would commence later that year. Also, the order was upped to 160, with about 110 delivered to this point. So what is the UH-1Y, and why do I have a model of the CH-146? Because it's essentially the same aircraft, with one major difference. The Venom has the 4-bladed composite rotor. It has a modern glass cockpit. It's designed to be more survivable, more adaptable. It can mount 7.62 caliber door guns. The Venom has 2 external hardpoints, like you see on this model here, for 70mm rockets or other equipment. It has a slightly stretched fuselage. Its top speed is nearly 190 miles per hour with a cruise speed of at least 150, depending on load. Its useful carry load is at least 6,500 pounds. And it can carry up to 15 people. Typically it has the same type of crew as the Griffon, 1 or 2 pilots, and then a flight engineer / crew chief, and optional door gunners as needed. The real difference between the Griffon and the Venom are the 2 turboshaft engines. The Venom has more modern, more efficient, and much more powerful engines. It has a much better reputation operating hot and dry. As you can tell, it can lift more. And just generally speaking, being new manufactured airframes, they can make them lighter, more dependable with more modern composite materials and what have you. And so yeah, that's the companion to the new AH-1Z. And yeah, I'm not saying this isn't a CH-146, but with the external rocket pods and just kind of overall look, it seems like it's kind of trying to be a Venom. On a 1/7" scale diecast model, the differences with the engine would basically not be noticeable. Just saying. But yeah, people had asked, so I thought I would do an update showing this. Now that I finally got it, because it was quite an adventure. It took me 3 tries. The first time I ordered one of these was from Diecast Supermart. Really just because they were showing one and I was trying to get to, shipping reduction. Well, they sent me a polite email saying that they were sold out and really didn't think they'd get any more in, so they just refunded me. Second time, I got excited. I saw that Aikens had them in stock. And so I ordered one, along with several other Amercom type models, so kind of cheap little models. And I was rather confused when I opened the box and found this in the box. This is not a helicopter. You might have noticed. Maybe not. This is actually a British Hawker Hunter T7. Still a Amercom, but definitely not a helicopter. Well, what happened, this has the same first 2 digits and the same last 2 digits, 41, and the product number, the product SKU, as the CH-146 Griffon, but the middle digits, the middle numbers, are different. And with the Corona stuff, Aikens, along with most gun and most shops in general now, is short-handed with only a couple of people doing shipping, so probably in a hurry. Looking at numbers, they just grabbed the wrong one. Oh well. But my most recent shipment that just came in a couple of days ago had the right model. Finally, took me 3 tries. But these are sold out most everywhere else, including soon to be Aikens. I think they only have 1 or 2 left. So it seems like it's a popular model. I would have preferred to be an Altea. I just think these are a little better built. Although both are still based on the old IXO tooling. Of course, this one over here is Forces of Valor, which is a whole different level of model. It's more in the mid-tier range instead of economical range. But I don't think they've done a Huey. Could be wrong. But considering what these cost, the little Venom here, or Griffon, or whatever, isn't bad from Amercom. Just don't expect absolute perfection. You know, you get what you pay for. But the rotors pop on easy, and it sits on its stand nice and tight, so... And it does come with the stand, and the rotors do move, front and back, so that's nice. So yeah, after that bit of an adventure getting one, I figured I would do this video. Plus,